Solitary is inhumane, causes or increases mental illness, and makes it hard to adjust to life after confinement. Studies have shown the horrible effects it has on people, and it should be banned from all correctional facilities. The first reason it is inhumane is because it is a big major form of isolation. In the U.S., there's at least 61,000 people a day in solitary confinement. In this cell that they are held in, it is a 60 to 80 square feet cell, which is usually about 7 to 8 feet big. They are held in there for 22 to 24 hours a day, with usually no window or sunlight or any way to look out of outside their cell. It is usually a concrete and steel door and walls. They just have a bed, toilet, and a sink with nothing to do. They usually have no books, no TV, or anything to keep themselves occupied. They have little to no human contact, no human touch at all. They rarely have visitors. If they do, it's usually behind a glass or a screen, so they can't touch them, and they rarely are allowed to have any phone calls to contact their family. When they are out for recreational time, it's just into another cell with barely any sunlight or anything to do. It is a form of torture. The length of time varies that people are in there. Sometimes they're just in there for a couple hours or some days. Sometimes they're in there for years or decades. According to KnowableMagazine.org, the longest-serving member of the Agnola 3, Albert Woodfox, was in solitary confinement for 46 years. They don't have any sense of time in there. They're alone. They do the same thing every day. They're just alone with their thoughts every day. The prison guards can be mean with a lot of mental abuse, calling them names, and just verbally abusing them, as well as sometimes physical by using pepper spray to detain them, as well as throwing stuff at them. There's usually two general purposes people are in there. There's the punitive or the disciplinary. The disciplinary is when someone breaks the rule. It can be a big or small rule, such as getting into a fight or stealing something or even sharing something with another inmate. A lot of times guards can be in a bad mood, and if the prisoner backtalks them, they can just put them in there. Sometimes they're in there because they are a threat to other people. They're in a gang or whatever. Sometimes they're in there because people want to hurt them, so they put them in there for their own protection, even though in the long run it really isn't helpful at all. Can cause an increased mental illness. Over time, it can develop anxiety and depression, panic attacks. They are really worried about their sanity, and they don't think they're going to be able to make it through there. A lot of times they don't know how long they're going to be in there, so they're just freaking out in there. It can cause hallucinations and paranoia, and they lose grip on their reality. It's a big suicide risk as well. According to Vox.com, a study of 100 people conducted and said 70% felt themselves to be on the verge of a nervous breakdown, while 40% of them experienced hallucinations, and just under a third reported suicidal thoughts. The physical effects are starting to get studied. People are starting to realize physical effects of no sunlight, no fresh air, and a lack of exercise, as well as illness related to stress. Life after solitary confinement can be hard. You eventually learn to live without people, especially if you've been in there for a long time. You lose your social skills, you're uncomfortable around people, and a lot of times they lose their family members because they just don't know how to be with them anymore. They've been confined in a small space for so long that open space is uncomfortable and they feel very disoriented. Suicide is a very big risk after they get out. They forget how to make their own decisions and take care of themselves. They feel very overwhelmed and a lot of times turns to drugs or alcohol as well as suicide. As you can see, solitary confinement is inhumane, causes or increases mental illness, and makes it hard to adjust to life after confinement. It is the worst type of punishment that no human deserves. Solitary confinement should be banned, especially if held for long periods of time. Thank you.